Hello and welcome to warrenthornton.com. In conjunction with Unprecedented TV, we will be showing you the first hour of this show later on, as well as on the live now. If you're just joining us on X, if you're joining us on Rumble, Kick, BitChute and other platforms, as well as YouTube, thank you very much for coming and watching the show. We hope to keep you entertained. We've got a lot to show you. Now, if you want to see more than the first hour, then warrenthornton.com is the place to come. You subscribe over there very simply. If you just type in Warren Thornton, all one word, .com, click on that. That'll take you to a link. Click that link and it will take you to a subscribers page where you pay a very small amount of money for a coffee, even under the price of a normal coffee that you would pay. For that, you get 6 shows a week, 2-hour long shows, a daily bite, and a subscriber show in the morning where you can come and talk about absolutely anything you want, and you can come and join the ever-growing family here. And that is for a whole month at a time. So we hope you come across, and we hope you enjoy the show. We will play the Unprecedented TV outro after the first hour. That will signal the live stream actually stopping. The rest of the show is for subscribers. So let's get into this. And this is a quite amazing thing that is happening. There are many, many people out there turning around and going, what's going on? Is it as bad as everybody says it is? And of course, everybody's got their minds fully fixed on what is happening in Alaska. And of course, Alaska is the place where they are carrying out the meeting with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Now, we'll get into that in a short while because there has been a massive development in the war that is going on at the moment between Russia and Ukraine. And it is very, very hefty indeed what is happening. So let's, without further ado, get into the map and tell you what has been going on. Now, you will remember we reported a while back. Now, these are the trench lines, as you can see here. Now, Pokrovsk is down here, Konstantinivka is here, and Kramatorsk is here. Now, and of course, above Kramatorsk and to the right is a place called Slavyansk. Now, this is pretty much the entire region of the Donbass, shall we say, Luhansk, Donetsk, pretty much the Donetsk region. Now, all these yellow lines, all of these that you can see, this is a huge network of Ukrainian trench lines that were completely used as the second line of defence, or the last line of defence. As you can see, the trenches beyond that, although they're pretty much concreted, they're not going to hold out too long. Of course, everybody says, "Oh no, you know, it's a concrete trench lines." They haven't had time to build defences behind here, and the Russians have broken through, and chaos is ensuing. And we're going to get into why there is so much chaos going on at the moment. And the reason there is so much chaos going at the moment is it is beginning not only to creak, but it is also beginning to collapse. So let's have a little look what's happening and why it's happening. So here we have Pokrovsk here, which is, as you can see, if we zoom back out, that's in the Donetsk region. And of course, this whole area, of course, is Donetsk. And of course, if we zoom out a little bit more, you can see obviously Luhansk as well, which is, they haven't got fully control of that yet, but that is coming. Now, also we have to look at Dnipro as well, because that is, shall we say, Pavlograd is already under attack here. So this is getting bombed mercilessly. And further down, of course, we have Zaporizhia, where the Russians are moving very, very quickly. And of course, this is Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rog. So this gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. And if we zoom back out, this is the area of, literally, of Ukraine that Russia have control under. It's around about 19 to 20%. It's growing. And of course, they're closing in Kharkiv up here. So this is going to be very, very problematical for them, because of course they are now in places like Kupiansk, which is just here, and Kupiansk is seeing They are literally running around Kupiansk, causing all sorts of damage. Now, let's get back into what we were talking about the Donetsk and Pokrovsk region in particular. So, we have shown you and we've told you that very simply they have crossed. This map is yet to be updated, but they have now crossed the railway line. The Russians are pretty much split Pokrovsk in two. And of course, this other service road, the one that leads in here, of course, is now being under Russian firepower. So the E50 road, that is the one that they are using to try and get transport in, this is literally covered with drones, and we'll actually have a video of what's happened there with those drones as well. Now, Rudzinsk as well, this is another area that they pushed into, and they also pushed into Shevchenko. Now, that is pretty much Minorad as well. Now, we're talking around about 12,000 troops now are in Pokrovsk. The neo-Nazis Azov brigades, the 12th and the 3rd, were dispatched to go a little bit further up. Now, there was a massive push north, past the trench lines that we were telling you about, and of course, they were talking about all the things that were going to happen over here in Dobrofila. Now, very simply, that is the roads that the Ukrainians were traveling along. The 12th and the 3rd Battalion, they have literally, shall we say, been repelled. They're taking massive casualties as we speak. And if we come back down to Pokrovsk for a second, Pokrovsk is the area, as I say, there are units of Russians running around, snipers, people with anti-tank mines and everything else, literally causing chaos. So Pokrovsk is pretty much cut in half, and the Ukrainians, not quite knowing what's going on, are starting to run about. And as you can see from the map we've put there, this is the area, of course, that the Russians would like to capture and capture it. I'm sure they will at some stage. But the problem that we have, and the problem they have, of course, as we zoom out the map, is they push north, as I say, beyond those lines, and that is cutting off the main roads to Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. Now, they're the two big cities that are left. Now, it's not like Pokrovsk is a small area that housed 60,000 people, but Kramatorsk and Sloviansk are the two big cities they would like to take. Of course, with this push north as well, this puts even more pressure on the roads leading into Konstantinivka, and as you can see from these areas, they are starting to creep closer and closer to Konstantinivka. So the whole thing is a bit of a problem. Now, we have even more of a problem here because, of course, as I say, these are now pushing in all sorts of areas. This village here, Zloty Kaladza, they are in there. Rubizenya, they are in there. The Hrusk village here as well, they are in here. So they are pushing absolutely everywhere. And the Ukrainians are moving out very, very quickly. And as I said, they're trying to occupy the trench lines that are left behind. But there's a major, major problem there because, of course, they're getting smashed left, right, and centre. Now, of course, over here, where we look at the Dnipro area, of course, this was the one of the areas where there was a huge missile strike on the German and Ukraine joint venture. And that's what we have to talk about now, because the German and Ukraine joint venture has not gone very well either. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a video. We're going to show you a video here, and we're going to tell you why this is so important, because this is a major hit, and we're going to talk about that after you've seen the video. Now, the video is in, obviously, is not in English, but you will get the general idea of what is going on. This is the two plants, one in Sumy and one, obviously, in Dnipropetrovsk. Now, what happened when the Oreshnik missile was fired at the plant in, I believe, the Yamash or Yamush or whatever it was, that the plant that was actually building these missiles. Now, these are Taurus missiles. They're German Taurus missiles that are being put together inside Ukraine. If you remember, everybody was talking about, will it happen, won't it happen? Of course they were doing it. Now, the original, they were doing it well before, and we told you they were Taurus missiles. Now, in the original plant, that was blown to smithereens. And what is evident, because they had to move it to all different parts, the rebuilding of this plant, they had to move it to all different parts. What is evident is that the Oreshnik completely and utterly obliterated that site. So anybody thinking, how did the Oreshnik get on? Because we didn't have a lot of people talking about it. The Oreshnik obliterated that site. Nilus.
Yeah, we know that the first Oreshniks that were fired, they didn't even have a warhead on, and
No.
they made a massive big crater. But did these have warheads on?
No, but they didn't. They actually didn't have to use Oreshniks for these. We're just talking about the original Oreshnik had literally obliterated it. But the original site that the Oreshnik was fired at, you're right, it didn't have any heavy warheads on, but it literally obliterated the site completely. That's why they had to move everything to the other areas like Sumy and Dnipropetrovsk. Well, the Russians found out where the Germans were manufacturing these Taurus. Now, the Germans are going to deny this, but they are there. Now, these things are called the Sapsan, which is just another name for a Taurus missile, basically. The Germans are fooling absolutely nobody, and this is why there was that hurried meeting and the phone calls, of course, between Merz and, of course, the Ukrainians. Of course, this was destroyed left, right, and centre. Remember, at the time, just after, Merz was having a complete and utter meltdown, quite staggering. And of course, one of those at the moment, as Putin and, should we say, Putin and Trump are meeting at the moment, exchanging gifts. So I'm led to understand, thank you very much for that in the chat. This, of course, is one of the reasons why they need this, because the plants have been hit again. So they moved the original plant after the Oreshnik obliterated the place. They moved the original plants into 3 or 4 different areas so they could piece the things together and then put them together. We're going to show you a video now of those 2 plants. The Russians found them. They bombed them. The site has been obliterated. No more Taurus, commonly known as Sapsan. No more Taurus being built by anyone. Let's have a look.
Т1, это тайфун. Ну, Сапсан вот как отдали, так и ну, тайфун первый мы считаем.
Нас интересует залив. Корпуса сопла, расчеты. Ребята планируют 200 штук в месяц делать. К нам заедет ПВОшный комплекс типа Патриота на Жиров. Он как строительный контейнер закамуфлирован. И в случае, если такого боевой готовность, он открывается. И это будет рэбовская установка против вот эти все разведчики, которые наводят огонь. Территорию завода пролетело где-то порядка 30 беспилотников. Все ракеты все пролетели. И шахеды, если бы там не было пороха и тротила, из здания тоже были все. Ну, они же, я так понял, основную базу хотят сделать на Ходочука. Он же ездил до пограничников, что забрать на полностью весь этот лес.
Они нам здесь нужны, это каждый раз их оттуда возить на ПМЗ.
Должны начать херачить туда. Идет информация еще. обещания были все легкие, жалуются, что большая часть не выполнена. Скажи, пожалуйста, инструкция 6354 по приему иностранцев, иностранной делегации по поводу субстанции, про конструкторской технологической документации. Возможность она выйти. Ну, сняли с меня бронь. А что я должен идти?
Слушай, пока пускай не едет.
Что не хочешь служить?
Придется светить, если честно, чем мы там закупаем. Да никаких больше не будет. Ну, потому что.
Now, you may remember we showed you the video of that site. It said something rather massive had gone up at the time because there was all that ammunition popping off as well. And remember, we showed you the mushroom cloud explosion that sort of came out of nowhere. And everybody knew at that moment, just like, wow, here we go. This is not good. And of course, we were able to find out that, of course, they had hit that missile site. We just didn't know it was the German one at the time. Well, now we do. And the problem is, as well, is that there was one area left that was not found for these sites, for these German tourist sapsands, as we call them. There was one area left that we thought, okay, they've at least managed to survive or save that site. Well, that's simply not the case because they found it. It was in Dnipro as well. It was a place called the Shevchenky factory. And of course, the Russians also found that as well. So there's the Shevchenky district there, which of course is in Dnipropetrovsk. And of course, they have hit that as well. They hit that today, earlier on today. Yesterday, I should say. And that, of course, is the explosion. Now, that was the final part of the jigsaw that the Russians were looking for. Found it, broken it. That again is obliterated. So of course there is no more of these long-range missiles. Now we can reveal that the Ukrainians, along with the British, I am so sad to say, have been trying everything they can to derail the peace talks. Now we have it on very good authority that 3 Storm Shadows have been taken out of the air. Now at the last meeting, if you will remember, every time there's a meeting that is going anywhere near discussing peace, Zelensky and the Brits, I'm ashamed to say, and the Americans, when they were meeting with Ukraine, while these talks are about to happen or are about to go on, they think they're gaining some sort of psychological advantage by doing stupid attacks on civilians. And of course, to this time was absolutely no different whatsoever, of course. They decided it was a good idea to launch all sorts of drones and everything else at civilian areas and everything else. So not a good look, not good at all from them. And the trouble that we have, of course, is nobody will ever believe them when it comes to the fact that they want peace, because at the end of the day, they really, really don't. And the problem is, while the whole world is watching, of course, they are doing stupid things. Now, everybody is watching the Emmendorf Richardson Air Base. As you can see, this is all the press that are arriving at the moment, getting all set up ready for this meeting, which is expected to last somewhere between 6 or 7 hours. There's a lot of heavy hitters that are going along to this meeting. Security is very, very tight indeed. And of course, there is all sorts of craziness going on because it is in the middle of the Alaska, shall we say, season. And of course, everybody is turning around and going, oh, there's nowhere to sleep and everything else. Tough luck. If you wanted to go along, then of course, it was one of those where you just go, no, you wanted to go along. Now you've got a chance to go along. But back to the attacks. Kiev actually attacked Kursk. Let's have a look at this. No military installations whatsoever. They just decided it would be a good idea. Now, if you look back in the history of all of these, you will see that over and over and over again, they have launched an attack or they've done some sort of crime. Louis Bastos.
The problem is these guys cannot be controlled. They have no discipline. They do what they like. And this is the difference between Russian military and Ukrainian military, or Nazi military, the way we call them, Heads-Up Battalion. They do what they want. They have a couple of drinks and they just do what they want. And the problem is Putin is not getting, Trump is not knowing any of this stuff. That's the biggest problem.
Yes, I think that you're probably right that they're keeping that away from, of course, Trump and everything else. And everybody's saying about the wonderful patriots and everything else. These things, the Americans have now come out and actually admitted, they've actually published today a report that says that the Oreshniks and the Iskander M's and also obviously the Kinzhals, they cannot touch, they can't bring them down. Their Patriot missile systems are incapable of doing so. Nilis.
Well, it doesn't seem to be only a Ukrainian policy, but it seems to be a NATO policy to attack civilians, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
If we look at
the Storm Shadows haven't been launched without British help. Simple as that.
Yeah. But also in other spheres like Afghanistan, if people didn't want to grow opium, their families were attacked when they were having a wedding celebration when all the families were together. In places like Fallujah, where the whole city was just bombed with depleted uranium, where they had a very high civilian population, where people now can't have, they fear to have children because of the high levels of birth defects even to the day. And it seems wherever the NATO goes, as you were saying, they couldn't fire these rockets at Kursk without some NATO input.
No,
and
they absolutely could not.
I'm ashamed to say that it seems to be that way for the whole of NATO to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're completely right. And of course, as we say at the moment, they're doing that whilst, of course, all eyes are on Alaska at the moment. And very simply, von der Leyen, Mark Rutte, and of course, Zelensky, and the rest of the world leaders, shall we say, or the rest of the irrelevants are not there. Nilis.
Yeah, well, I forgot to mention the obvious one, which is Gaza, which is being targeted by British planes and other forces that are part of the Western setup.
It is. You're absolutely right. And of course, one of those as well. While we're on the subject, just in case anybody's getting a bit funky, it's not, as they say, the coalition of the willing. While anybody's getting a bit funky, of course, these two are getting massively upset because Rutte wanted to go with Zelensky. Von der Leyen and everybody else was in on the phone call, a video Zoom call, where there was almost every single EU leader to try and put pressure on Trump to allow Rutte, the head of NATO, and Zelensky, the head of Ukraine, to attend. This was rebuffed by Donald Trump, who turned around and said he didn't want people cluttering up the works. And that is pretty much where we are at the moment. And of course, We've got all sorts of crazy stuff. They're about, as I say, to sit down, have a good long chat. And of course, everybody is getting summit fever. And of course, the press are no different. They're all over this. There are lots and lots of stupid people coming out and making all sorts of crazy statements as they are about to sit and have this conference. Now, nothing has been decided yet. The Russians have given up nothing. The Americans are keeping their cards for the very first time very, very close to their chest. Now, that means that there is something rather sensible and factual possibly going to go onto the table, because literally these people would not be putting this out there, of course, unless that was right. And of course, there were even people, lots and lots of people, were saying Putin's plane was going to get attacked. Now, the most tracked flight of all time by people who like to do this sort of thing was Vladimir Putin's plane taking off to go to Anchorage, which is quite staggering, isn't it? The most tracked aeroplane flight of all time is Vladimir Putin's plane. People were or thought they were expecting some sort of attack. Now, that would have been a possibility, but then again, there is something that you need to take into account. Who didn't go? And you have to wonder here, and we are just joking here, who is in charge of the red button while Putin is away? Well, let's put it this way. If anything would have happened to Putin, this guy, Medvedev, would be the guy in charge of the nuclear button. It would be a very, very stupid person indeed who would have a go at Putin while Medvedev is in charge. Many people go, oh, maybe he wouldn't do this, that, and the other. Well, he would. There have been some absolute fallouts, some real clown performances going on. Everybody is up in arms because on the Russian journalist flight, Chicken Kiev was served. You would have thought the airline would have had more sense than to actually do that. But apparently Chicken Kiev was served. And of course, the RT correspondents and everybody else were very quick to tweet that out. They talk about giving away the secrets or the advantages. Quite crazy. And of course, there are many people losing their minds. There is all sorts going on. Just take a look at this from The Economist. This is meant to be a serious paper or a serious publication that tells you what's going on with the economics of many, many things, very much into geopolitics. Donald Trump has leapt at his reptilian counterpart's latest mixed messages about peace, rewarding him with a summit in America. Why is the American president so accommodating of Vladimir Putin? The Economist calling Vladimir Putin a reptile. You're meant to be, do better, chaps. That is absolutely frightening. Let's have a look at this. Next is the thing that we want to have a look. Nilis.
Well, as you said, the Telegraph is the organ of the MI6 and other security forces, but The Economist is also the organ of the World Economic Forum
Yes.
and of the New World Order, you could say.
Yes.
They reflect what those people are thinking.
Yes, absolutely. And they don't think any differently. But just to let you know, and The Economist is also the newspaper that's saying that China are going to collapse, their economic collapse. And they've been saying that for the last 15 years. Still hasn't happened. Why divided Ukrainians are refusing to fight for Zelensky? Russian gains in the east are undermining morale while casting Kiev's manpower problems in stark relief. Well, they know that literally, has one Ukrainian turned around and said, he turned around and said, why would I fight for Ukraine, my country, when they are stealing the money for our defenses and for our weapons? We are having to get people to literally give us money to be able to use that to defend. And they're not the only ones out there saying it. The USA has also accused Ukraine of significant human rights violations. Now, here we go. Significant human rights issues involving Ukraine government officials include credible reports of torture and cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment, punishment, arbitrary arrest or detention, serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom, including violence or threats of violence against journalists, where we've all seen Mirror Tibet, which is a Ukrainian kill list. Quite surprised the Americans have suddenly decided to come out and say this. Very much so when, of course, the OSCE was targeting journalists who were reporting on war crimes in the Donbass. So they were passing on the information to America, they were passing it on to Ukraine, and they were killing journalists who were going to report this sort of thing. So it is a bit of a pot calling the kettle black here. Unjustified arrests or prosecutions of journalists, Gonzalo Lira, what about killing them? And censorship, systemic restrictions on workers' freedom of association, and the significant presence of any of the worst forms of child labour and trafficking. Some of those human rights issues stem from martial law, which continued to curtail domestic freedoms due to wartime conditions, including freedom of the press and legal protections. The government often did not take adequate steps to identify and punish officials who committed human rights abuses. Now, that's the human rights report against Ukraine that was literally handed to America. But America knew 90% of this, so they're talking absolute nonsense. So let's have a little look at some of these human rights abuses, because remember that we've talked about trafficking and all sorts of horrible, horrible stuff that they've done to us. So let's have a little look today, just outside of Pokrovsk. Let's have a little look at this. This is a Ukrainian soldier captured by drone shooting a civilian. Quite disgraceful. The civilian, not armed, the soldier kills them, checks, see if they're dead, and then away he goes. Now that's a Ukrainian soldier on the outskirts of Pokrovsk that has just shot a civilian who is trying to escape from the danger. So there we go. Really, really straightforward. And of course you can see him just going into it, but he was captured on a drone doing this. So to say there are no war crimes. But of course we've reported on child trafficking, we've reported on organ trafficking. Many, many people have completely ignored the stuff that we have shown people and what is going on with these people. Let's have a little look at this.
In 1999, Doctors Without Borders put in an appearance in Kosovo as well.
Što se tiče Lekara bez granica, trebalo bi znati da su oni uglavnom obavljali tu aktivnost. Njihov glavni čovjek na terenu bio je Bernard Kouchner, kasnije ministar u vladi Francuske. Čovjek koji je bio po meni alfa i omega trgovine organima na ovom prostoru.
Bernard Kouchner, doctor and diplomat, the ideologist behind the Doctors Without Borders organization established in 1971. Today, it's an international movement involving more than 63,000 people. Their activities are thought to be noble and humane. But in 2005, a book written by a former prosecutor of the Hague Tribunal, Carla Del Ponte, was released, called The Hunt, Me and War Criminals. During her work in Kosovo, the prosecutor saw much. Albanians trafficking human organs was the most shocking crime she uncovered. Del Ponte directly accused Kouchner and Doctors Without Borders of human organ trafficking. But the accusation only came out once Del Ponte had resigned as chief prosecutor.
While Carlo Del Ponte was the head prosecutor of the Hague Tribunal, he kept silent about it. He ignored all the evidence, not only on this issue, but on many other issues. After that, when she is not on that position anymore, when she can only benefit from telling the truth, for example, in her book.
Serbian journalist Miodrag Zarkovic has no illusions about the actions of law enforcement in his country.
Could reveal some truth, they don't want to. Afterwards, when they can earn money from hints, from allegations, from suspicions, yeah, then they do that.
sam lično dao 2001. godine Karli Del Ponte, a onda sam i 3. i 4. godine kad sam bio u Hag oko suđenja Slobodana Miloševića, predsjednika Srbije, ja sam lično dao Karli Del Ponte imena preko 300 kidnapera i zločinaca u ČK.
The chairman of the Society of Missing Serbs in Kosovo, Simo Spasic, lost relatives when the West savagely carved up Yugoslavia.
Mene ono što najviše boli, meni su 2 brata kidnapovana, Žarko Spasić 98. godine, Veljko Spasić 99. godine. Niti vojnici, niti policajci, niti su nikome nažao učinili. Ovaj je bio rudar, Žarko, Veljko je bio bravar, kidnapovani na radnim mestima.
The contents of The Hunt, Me and the War Criminals, are well known to both Western intelligence services and various peacekeeping organizations.
Dakle, to je jedan projekat kojim se bavi jedna čitava organizovana kriminalna grupa delom iz NATO-a i delom iz zapadnih struktura, pa i nekih nevladinih organizacija kao što su upravo i Lekari bez granica, da su u Vukovaru, nakon oslobođenja Vukovara, naše jedinice, gore gardijska jedinica, zatekla jednu hrpu leševa iza bolnice koji nisu bili sahranjeni, a za koje je bilo karakteristično da su imali rastruganu grudnu kost svi. Što je upućivalo na određene hiruške aktivnosti koje su bile vezane za vađenje organa. Zatim mlađe žene, naravno, mlađi muškarci.
I stranci su, zapadnjaci su učestvovali u vađenju organa Srba. Amerikanci, Englezi, Turci, Nemci, znači ti njihovi hiruzi su učestvovali u toj zaveri da se kidnapovani Srbima vade organi, da se prodaju širom Evrope. Ali interesantno, ne kao haški tužilac, američki haški tužilac, nego kada je završila svoj mandat, kada je otišla u penziju, ona je u toj knjizi navela da su ti iz UČK teroristi kamionima transportovali kidnapovane Srbe 98. 99. godine preko Makedonije i preko Crne Gore u pravcu Albanije, Žute kuće.
Žuta kuća je bila jedna od tih bolnica na severu Albanije, u Borelju. Tamo su pronađeni u blizini kuće lekovi, injekcije i sve ostalo. Sve ono što je po izjavama veštaka, transplantologa neophodno bilo da se upotrebi prilikom vađenja organa, odnosno transplantacije organa.
Del Ponte's book is causing a major public outcry. The investigation was reopened and is being handled by Switzerland's PACE representative, Dick Marty.
After the bombing, so after the bombing campaign, after Serb forces withdrew from Kosovo, after Albanians and their NATO members took full control over Kosovo, there was serious organ trafficking, and Dick Marty actually reported on that with proofs, with evidence, with testimonies from Albanians themselves.
In his report on inhuman treatment of people and illicit trafficking in human organs in Kosovo, Dick Marty says the Doctors Without Borders organization and its head, Bernard Kouchner, engaged in activities counter to what they had declared. He proved not only Kouchner's involvement in human organ trafficking, but Kosovo's Prime Minister Hashim Tachi's as well.
He presented the entire case in European Parliament, and do you know what the European Parliament did with it? Nothing.
Kouchner je bio, što kažu, lekar bez granica. On čak je na konferenciji za medijima omalovažavao porodice kidnapovanih. On se smejao kao mi Srbi, mi sve lažemo. Kako možda laže majka koja ima dokaza ko je uzeo dete iz kuće, iz naručja, iz dvorišta.
According to Del Ponte and Marty, it was UN officials in Kosovo, NATO military, and EU representatives that interfered with the investigation of crimes committed by Kosovo Albanians. Del Ponte wrote, We were denied access to documents. My advisors agreed that an investigation of NATO activities was impossible.
Ja se nadam da nijedno srpsko srce da se nije primilo u grudima tih zlotvora Amerikanaca, Engleza, Nemaca i zapadnjaka.
In 2015, Bernard Kouchner, along with Doctors Without Borders, played a part in creating the Agency for the Modernization of Ukraine. They are always present where war is raging, and young, healthy bodies are plentiful.
Koji pod formom humanitarnih aktivnosti se u stvari bave tim crnim, teškim poslom, trgovinom organima i basnoslovno na tome zarađuju.
There we are. So, when we talk about everything that is going on in Ukraine, Nilis?
Well, there again, it's not only, as I said before, NATO is involved in the killing of civilians worldwide, but they've been involved in this human organ trafficking worldwide. If we look at Vanessa, really what she said in Syria, the White Helmets being very heavily influenced in this, in Iraq, especially in Afghanistan. And we know that Ukraine is the center of organ trafficking at the moment. And they mostly go to Germany, the organs and the blood and whatever it is that they take from the dead people. But the Middle East, places like Syria, was very not only adults but for trafficking in child organ parts as well through the White Helmets.
Yes, and we of course have shown this before. On this channel. We have highlighted everything that has gone on with these people, of course. And of course, let me tell you right now that Doctors Without Borders operates, that being the word, at Kharkiv Hospital. Okay, we of course have been given exclusive pictures from Kharkiv Hospital of people going to collect organs and traffic. You have to wait till I finish, Nilis, and then I'll let you back in. Now, very, very simply, we have had people going there to pick up these organs and take them away. And of course, these are not doctors at all. Of course, this is one of the guys who went to pick up one of those organs. And of course, the person who's taken those pictures has disappeared completely and has not been seen since. And of course, one has to remember when there are 4 or 5 furnaces operating inside Ukraine to get rid of the bodies of dead Ukrainian soldiers, you have to wonder how much there is a mass taking of those organs. Of course, that is also linked, if you remember, with the human trafficking. Very much linked with the human trafficking, of course. And of course, everybody sort of was upset about that, but they're doing it with children as well, and that was part of the investigation that Vasily Pozorov and myself were talking about. And of course, this is the area where, of course, they were taking.
Cut down on their consumption on meat.
Sorry, just got the wrong one there. Now they were taking these from the live soldiers, would you believe, which was quite incredible. And of course, we will get onto that in 2 seconds. Let's just bring this up for you.
Too juicy, I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way.
They
So,
really
you know.
and of course, this is a major problem. And of course, we will talk more and more about that as we go along. It is quite incredible what they are up to. And they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing it. They're not going to stop. And it is, of course, a problem. Obviously, when they're talking about all the things that they're doing on top of this, it is amazing that nobody in the UN is doing anything about it. Or is it amazing? Because, and here's where we have the problem, the UN, when they put this up in the UN, of course, they had a major issue with it. Because when Putin was showing that these children were perfectly safe in Russia, They were showing them the videos of the families of everybody arriving. The USA, the UK, Moldova, where the smuggling, of course, comes through various passports and things like that, where you can get fake passports and present them. They decided to get up and walk out along with Albania. Isn't that strange? Nilis.
What I was going to say is that I had some experience of Doctors Without Borders in Egypt, and there's some very genuine people working for them. But it seems that somewhere along the line, I don't know if it's in the hierarchy, or there seems to be a side split, people that, well, almost like a split off organizations that are doing this, that are under their umbrella. I know that there was several years ago, I think it was during the Kosovo War probably, that many body parts were active in Athens, and they were wasn't Doctors Without Borders, but it was this.
Yes. You're dropping out, Nilis. One of those may need to go out and come back in again. We can't hear you. One of those where you just Nilis was making the point. He's back again. Nilis. Oh, gone again. Okay. One of those where you sort of look at everything, don't you, and you think, wow, what have we got going on here? And this thing is massive. It's all over the place. And anybody who thinks it's not, please go and have a look at the documentary that myself and Vasily put together. There's also one with Andrew Sibley at JAOC, and that will tell you everything you need to know. This is very much a massive thing that they are doing. Right, let's get into a little bit of this, because we've shown this before. This is happening too, and this is part of everything that is going bad in Ukraine. Now, that guy had a very, very lucky escape, but that is how much these people don't want to go and fight. And just before you will be leaving us in about 5 or 6 minutes on the normal hour, let's have a little look about all the things that are going on when it comes to the lunacy that is surrounding this. And of course, let's have a look at the Ukraine media here. That was an AI video put out by the Ukraine media. Yeah, it is an AI video, but the whole idea was not that it's a fake video. The whole idea was the Ukrainians basically trying to transmit or intimidate to Trump, should we say, what he should be doing, and if he didn't, guess what might happen. Now, that was broadcast on Ukraine media, and everybody was very, very happy about that. And of course, that is some of the nonsense that we get. Now, some of the other nonsense that we've got is Lavrov turning up, as he did, with this.
Сергей Викторович, а вы первый раз на Аляске? Для известия, скажите, пожалуйста, первый? Бывал, я тут уже. Вам нравится?
Now, that was Lavrov turning up with a CCCP obviously, what do you call it? One of the CCCP shirts on, sweatshirt on. And of course, social media and many people decided to have a bit of a meltdown about it. And the reason they had a meltdown about it is, of course, because it's got the old Soviet Union on it. Now, one of those who had a meltdown is this idiot here. I'm surprised that so many are surprised about Lavrov's T-shirt. It gets to the heart of the problem with how we view Putin and Russia. It must not be what it must not be, or rather, we prefer to look the other way. Maybe Putin means something entirely different from what he's always said. From Ronsheimer. Ronsheimer didn't mention, of course, that Bandera, Stepan Bandera, who is a neo-Nazi who helped various people commit all sorts of heinous war crimes, and of course is a massive neo-Nazi collaborator. He didn't mention for 1 second that there is actually a holiday day in Ukraine dedicated to Stepan Bandera. Maybe you should do a little bit of looking around before you start being the one to cast the first stone. There are other things that have come out as well. The British media are having a go saying that what is going to happen to Starmer. Of course, over these 3 young Ukrainian male models, they're turning around and saying what is going to happen, obviously, after the meeting with Zelensky. If Zelensky is removed and a or shall we say, a more even-minded person is put in charge, what's going to happen to all the neo-Nazis in the country? And, of course, what is going to happen to Starmer's Ukrainian male models if that then leaks out where they were originally sent from, and of course the murder of that gentleman in Madrid. Now, while they were in, should we say, various areas, the German media are getting very upset because they've all arrived in Anchorage. Now, Anchorage, it is the middle of the holiday season, and of course he's not very happy. Arrived in Alaska in the middle of the night, all rooms are sold out here in Anchorage. A reenactment of Murder on X could definitely be staged from the forecourt of my motel. Very simply, these people who are very used to, I mean, I remember in the old days, we used to sleep on the floor to get a story. But these people are getting very upset by the fact that there is almost nothing there. It is the Russians as well. The Russian media have been put into these various places, which, of course, they're sort of looking at and going, this isn't great. I don't want to sleep here. Let's have a quick look, shall we, at this.
За свою карьеру я очень много где побывал, много где ночевал, но здесь вот сейчас на Аляске это что-то новенькое даже для меня. Я сначала думал, что это шутка, но нам сказали, что и из-за встречи президентов, и из-за того, что сейчас очень популярный сезон для туристов, все отели заняты в Анкоридже, поэтому сейчас я вам покажу, где нас, журналистов из России, разместили. А разместили нас в местном стадионе, друзья. Давайте же посмотрим, что там внутри. Вот так вот это выглядит. Такой импровизированный лагерь, наверное, это можно назвать так. Кто нашел себе место, тому повезло. И вот такие вот комнатки, даже не знаю, как это назвать. Здесь разместились российские журналисты. Вот это вот, например, моя раскладушка. Кто-то вот уже нашел розетку, гладил здесь вещи. А там вот остановились наши пилоты. Ну и давайте протестируем кровать, чтобы вы понимали, насколько она мягкая, если вообще-то можно назвать кроватью. Я думаю, по звуку понятно, что это лучшее спальное место после 10-часового перелета. Но самый большой вопрос в другом. А вопрос этот, будет ли выключен свет ночью и продолжит ли вот эта штука издавать этот звук.
So there we are. They're not very happy about their accommodations either. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, to be honest, I've slept in far worse places and been accommodated in far worse accommodation than they're getting. no swank American cot to sleep on.
Yes.
We slept on the floor because
Yeah,
there wasn't anything else, not even a camp bed or, you know, you had your sleeping bag and that was it, and a carry mat, and you slept on the floor and you use your webbing as your pillow.
And of course, everybody at the moment, literally, the plane has just landed with Vladimir Putin in, so we haven't even started. And of course, there is a huge furore around this. Now, the EU are obviously panicking, and so is many others as well. And there's lots of people talking about all sorts of things. But at the moment, they haven't even met. So the other thing, that it seems that everybody is desperate to get on the airbase to go and have a look. Even this, somebody suggested this might be Kaya Kallis trying to get in to have a look, see what was going on, because of course she's not been invited either.
Well, she is a bit of a moose, isn't she?
Exactly. I was just about to say, I'm not sure I call her a moose. I'll leave that to you, Sean. But there we go. There is something that we're going to have a look at now, just before we get into the simple thing of the first hour and the end of the first hour. So if you've enjoyed the first hour and you want to come along, do come along to warrenthornton.com. We are going to show a lot more this evening, but we're just going to show this because, of course, we've been asked to show it again. So we're going to do just that.
Ayo, Doug, if you body, you can share party tiki to toss at him.
Snow is falling down in Alaska town. Trump's on the sled, Putin spinning around. Laughing in the cold, side by side. Slipping on the ice in a friendly slide. Hey, hey, what can we say? Peace feels easy on a snow day.
So there we are. That's that one that everybody. I had a few requests to show that again, so we've done exactly that. And if you want it, it's in the chat. Now there's a lot more that we have to get into, but our people on X and our people on Rumble, and our people on Kick are about to leave us, and so too are the viewers from Unprecedented TV.